2526 Babson Street with Ruby Hare. She's a psychic. She's going to go through the house, evaluate, and investigate. So what you'll see here is Ruby at her best.
When I first came in, I felt energy over here, behind you, near the TV area. Was very strong. They've moved since then, so anyway, we'll follow back through this area and see what happens, but they just kind of greeted me there when we first came in, so you might have noticed me keep looking over there because they're already making me aware of their presence. They greeted me right here, letting me know that they were in the room, and then they moved back this way. That's why I was kind of reluctant to go that way.
The house is open to you.
My name is Ruby, and I come here to speak with you. And so if there's anything that you'd like to tell me or let me know what's going on with you, I would like to relay that message. My first feeling is that I feel as though that somebody has passed away in this house, and when I say that you have passed on, that means that you are no longer in your body. You may not be aware that you're not in your body anymore, but you have passed on and that you're not in your body, but I am aware of your presence, and I can hear you and understand you if you would like to communicate with me. I've gotten a feeling about somebody laboring, it seems like, with their air, having trouble breathing. But it's like they're okay now, but they had trouble with their breathing. And that's one of the things that I get. You know, I'm aware of some pressure in the head area, and that could be just because of not being able to breathe or blood pressure, but just pressure.
Little fall.
It's funny, but they told me to sit down.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, they did. They said for me to sit down. So that's what I'm going to do.
That's the first time we got Ruby on the pot.
That's right, okay. I'm sitting down. I guess they're assuming that my view would be better, but then, of course, when I came in here and I said they had trouble maneuvering, I had seen them sitting down and also trying to use the facilities, which is kind of funny. But,
So nothing really jumps out at you.
I just heard something.
That's my stomach, I think.
Okay, is that your stomach? Okay, because sometimes I'm like, I'm going to move this back.
Well, I'll never be able to use it now. That was just a quick question, if you saw anything.
No, I'm trying to focus and see if there's anything that stands out. And there, I mean, if I were looking for images, there are images in the tiles, but one of the places that there seems to be a face is right here.
Okay. What face do you see? Can you point it out to us?
Well, it's like there's an eye here and an eye here and a nose there, and that one seems to be it looks like to me more like an animal or something. It doesn't, but you have there's several faces on there. There's not just one, but I know that a person died here. I believe that they had trouble maneuvering and they had trouble with the breathing. I got the pressure with the headache, so I don't know if they had a stroke or what that was. I'm not sure. All I can tell you is about the feelings that I'm having right now. And someone had trouble maneuvering.
Right.
Then I just heard someone say, don't cross over, or don't cross over the line. Don't cross over, something about crossing over, but it sounded like they said don't cross over or cross over the line.
Was that male or female voice?
I believe that it's a male, but I'm not really hearing the voice. Sometimes I hear the voices actually like they're talking like you and I are, and other times I just hear the thoughts in my head. And when I hear the thoughts in my head, I can't really distinguish a lot of times whether it's a male or a female, because I'm just hearing their thoughts in my head. Now, if they're talking to me, I can hear whether it's a male or a female or a child or what, but that's what my feeling is at that point. Now, in here, I mean, just because the stuff that's in here reminds me of a child because of those things, but I don't try to just go by that. But the only thing that I can tell you so far is that the person was afraid. They didn't like being alone. And it seemed like they were more afraid in the bathroom area for some reason. They had trouble breathing, and I got the headache thing. So far right now, and then it was like, I don't know if being afraid of the basement or what's downstairs or being afraid of what was in the closet. Because it seems like there's more than maybe one thing going on here, or I might just be thinking that. So sometimes I won't be able to determine that until later, or the person that lives here who actually knows what happened or didn't happen in the house will have a better idea of what it is that I'm getting and what it means to them. Okay. So I don't try to tell people that if I don't know it.
Okay. Have any feelings here at all?
Not yet. Right now, this is more like what I was waiting for is down here.
Okay.
So
Head on downstairs.
I'm kind of like,
Watch your step.
It's like you have it, but it's switch on when you go down.
The door.
The last one.
All right. So, come on down.
they're talking about something came from below, and I don't think that the person here was afraid of. And I guess my feeling that I'm getting is that somebody who used to be here and lived here all the time doesn't live here anymore, or is here but isn't here in the same capacity. There was a feeling about either what was here went up and down, or the passageway of going up and down, and I'm just kind of, like I said, just trying to fill it out about what it is they're wanting to say. And they're kind of like, I don't their spirits still here, but it's like, you're not with me or with us anymore. Just grief, anger, sadness, grief, confusion, and people in spirit sometimes don't understand what's going on and what's happening to them and why. And they used to go up and down the steps, and you don't really have to do that anymore. They can just move about. But also, like, there was something in the house that affected the person that was here that may have had something to do with their death or their passing. I don't know if that's what made them sick or what it was yet. I haven't determined that, but that's kind of like what's going on with the feelings. And I'm, like I said, I haven't been doing this for a little while, so
Right.
My feeling is that they're not alone. They have somebody else with them, and and I'm trying not to add anything in this, but it seems like we have a smaller child, and that child has another child with them, and that there's an adult, and I think that it's a male adult that there seems to be a presence with as well, that kind of watches over them, protects them type thing. But there had been energy that's down here in the basement that seeps its way upstairs. And so there seems, I guess my biggest feeling is that there was something in the house that affected their health too, as well. And that would still be affecting the people that are living here today's health. And that's one of the important things that they're trying to tell me.
Name Toby, does that bring anything to mind?
Mom's dog's named Toby. That's the only Toby I know.
Okay.
Because, see, the reason they would tell me that is to let the people know that the information's coming from them. So they'll tell me something that I wouldn't have any way of knowing, that somebody else would know the meaning to instead of me. And so because of what I got and the way that I got it, it's confusing to me. So the only thing that I can do at this point is to tell them, what we got.
Right.
And see how that fits in correlation with what's going on.
Right, exactly. So, and some of the highlights, Eileen, the highlights of what Ruby was picking up as far as the, the entity or the person.
The person was, I've got some really cryptic notes here, but what she was picking up was that the person was afraid of being alone. This one particular entity is afraid of being alone. Their head would hurt. They needed help moving from one place to another. They were very afraid, especially going into the bathroom area, that they needed help. That they especially had trouble breathing.
And the breathing might have just been at the end, but they had trouble breathing and a headache.
Right, afraid of passing out were your words.
Well, let's take that and go with that. Does that?
It's Raymond.
That's Raymond. Raymond is
My husband just passed.
And
He's been gone almost 3 years.
Describe his conditions for Ruby, just so she can. Go ahead.
Did he maybe have a stroke or something?
No, he had
later,
COPD.
Uh-huh.
He had emphysema of the lungs.
Okay.
And he was on oxygen inhaler, breathing machine, and he had to take a long time getting from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he shortness of breath. He always said, he felt like he was always passing out. But
Yeah, that's what I got on the passing out. He was afraid he was going to pass out. The thing that I got, though, is at the end, when he did pass on, did he go into cardiac arrest?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
He was in intensive care, but they brought him back. He was on a machine. He was on a life support machine. Mm-hmm. And then they removed him from my and took him to hospice, which he got very good. They was amazed. They was like getting ready to transfer him to the other hospice at the VA because they couldn't understand why he came through up as much as he did.
And he seemed to be a little confused. He had was talking about an animal or had an animal with him. I wasn't sure.
Stuart, my dog, passed after he did.
Okay, because that's what he was talking about, an animal. I thought it was a dog, but I wasn't sure, so I wasn't gonna. If I don't know for sure, I won't say. But that was my feeling. And the are there any grandchildren who have passed or something that have gone on?
I have a grandchild that, well, I consider him mine. It's my daughter's girlfriend's child, but she was the caregiver for him, and he passed after my husband did.
Okay, because he had a child with him, and that child had another playmate with him. And, you know, that maybe they met over there.
Yeah.
But anyway, they had him. So I thought that was just kind of cute that they had a playmate. So, and so he was, he gave me information, but he seemed to be a little confused. You know, he's okay now. You know, he's all right, and so he doesn't want you guys to worry about him, and he's okay.
But it's to validate you on 2 points, and it also validates me accidentally. I on purpose did not tell you coming in the car when I was telling you about something that I felt. I didn't describe anything to you. When I was standing in that corner and you had asked me why did I look like I was squinting, I had felt everything that Raymond had been going through. Not being able to walk, my calves being tight, not being able to breathe. He had the emphysema. You had described going into these rooms what he was going through. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I don't know which one you are. Bonnie.
She's the
Bonnie,
intelligent one, too.
Bonnie, I sat where you're sitting.
Well, he told
Bonnie,
me to sit down here.
Okay.
So that's why I sat down here. He said sit down.
Okay. And I started
Okay.
talking to Bonnie, and Bonnie had mentioned that ever since she had come here, she never felt right. You said to me, you never were really able to feel well. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah. And it's
So
pretty much
this is why I'm bringing these two things up to you.
Well, that's one of the things that one of the things that will happen is that you might have colds all the time. You might have trouble with your sinuses. You might cough or feel like you have, whatever. But the thing about it is he's saying that the house has some problems, and so that the only thing that I could tell you is to look into that and try to maybe get that fixed if you own the home, and so that you won't get sick from the spores, because they will get into your lungs, and they can cause cancer, and they can cause you to have breathing problems. And apparently he may have had, I don't know if he smoked or whatever before, but that added to it, as well as other things, but it wasn't just that. And he's saying that he's worried about you guys in that sense, and so that's kind of his, to protect you, is to tell you that, and telling me about Toby and this other child that was with him. So that's the only thing that I can tell you that I picked up here. And he seemed a little confused at first about the way he was trying to explain it to me, which made it a little bit more difficult. And if I don't have everything precise, then I'll tell everybody what it is that I got and let them decipher it and tell me what it means. So.
He used to have real bad headaches. I mean, he suffered a lot of headaches. At the end, his head would pound, and he was frightened to be here because I worked 2 jobs. He was scared to be here by himself. And finally, I cut down working at the end at the bar, but he was always afraid he was going to die by himself, and he didn't want to go in the bathroom because it's so closed in. When he'd go to take a bath,
he was afraid.
2 hours just to wash up because he'd have to sit down and then get back up a little bit.
And he was afraid he was going to fall. I also saw in the kitchen people sitting down and having coffee.
That's him.
sitting at the table. And that was another thing that I saw. But then, and that was something that he liked to do, and then later on that he wasn't able to really get around to do what he wanted to
He
do.
ate all of his meals after I moved in here with him. We ate at the table.
Right.
And
There
later
was-
on, he couldn't. He ate right here in the living room.
And so, that's what it is. A lot of times they'll stick around trying to wait, so that when people die, they don't necessarily go on. They can go into the light and they can come back. And a lot of times they will stick around or come around periodically to check up on you to see if you're okay. And especially when you're going through things, they're always there. A lot of times they'll wait for you to pass so they can go with you so that you won't be alone. Yeah.
Bonnie seems to think anybody that lived here for a length of time, more or less their life's destroyed because the boys got on heroin. They both. I mean,
They
he was.
both were good, hard-working people.
He made $27 an hour, worked 2 jobs, and he's on heroin.
Right.
And I've got that feeling
His house.
the other wife of Raymond's has lost her marbles,
Yeah.
and Raymond said the house is sick,
Yeah, well, because right now they'll just hide out or they'll move to another space, and especially when I come around, and if they know that I'm going to get rid of them, they will run for the hills. So
I
that
told him this morning when
they
I was
won't.
down there doing laundry, I said, y'all gonna act up now when they get out here. Because I go down there, but I put other things in my mind when I go down there. I've had a couple incidents where they come up to me and breathe, but
And you can feel their breath
yeah.
when they do that.
They kind of try to whisper, and I just turn around and come back up the steps. I always think of something. I always think, well, when I go down there, I might see Raymond or my grandson or somebody that's good, if you're bad. But sometimes there's a nasty smell. She smokes, but she smokes in there. She won't even be smoking in the middle of the night.
And the nasty smell.
And
is
all you
usually-
smell is the smoke coming through.
The nasty smell is usually what I call the smell of death, and that's when the negative ones a lot of times will come around. And when they do, a lot of times a stench will come with them. And that's usually when you can tell, but not all of them have the stench that come with them. And I would like to come back sometime when I'm in town and go down in the evening and
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
see what we
We'll call
got.
you.
When that happens, if they light a white candle, or are there other things that they can do if they do smell that odor
What can they do?
and they're frightened? What can they do when they're by themselves?
Well, the biggest thing that anyone can do is, and I don't know what your religion is, but what I say is that if you are a negative spirit, I command you to be gone in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And they will most of the time leave. Every once in a while you'll get a really bad one and they will try to fight you. I've had them take a Bible and flip the pages back and forth. I've had them take a solid gold necklace and turn it mossy green. So some of them you have to do, it depends on how bad and how negative the spirit is that you're working with, on how far and how much work that you have to do to get rid of them. Some of them, it's kind of like doing an exorcism in order to be able to get rid of them. And so I wouldn't be able to tell that until they showed their face or they reared their ugly
We
head.
just call him Stinky. But when I talked to Gordon, he said there's a man that stands behind my chair in the corner, watches over me. And he smells of alcohol and cigarettes. My dog, Stuart, used to go real crazy. He would lay there and look in the kitchen all the time and bark.
Animals and cats and dogs are always aware when a spirit's around, and they either won't go in a room, or they'll tuck their tail under, or they'll get real upset, or they'll cry, or some of them will start barking their head off. It depends on the animal.
I mean, I didn't see nothing because I was watching TV. I couldn't see it, I guess, because he jumped off of there, came over here, and he went all around the top of my chair and all around. And then when I talked to Gordon, we went to the psychic fair, he told me just to tell Stuart, it's okay. He could be here. It's okay. And he quit after a while.